Hey, how goes it? It's Daniel down in Houston, Texas, and I'm just going to show you how I would edit this Frono's photo image of this beautiful landscape in Capture NX2, the software that Nikon sells for a lot cheaper than Lightroom. If you're on a budget, you can use it. I actually got this whenever I was working at a Wolf camera. Yeah, I know, Wolf camera. Um, for a lot cheaper because we got employee discounts if we used our employee purchase program. So I got this for just under $100, and I didn't have the money at the time. And since then, I've bought other programs to deal with my images. But if you're on a budget, use Capture NX. I mean, it's Nikon's system. Can't go wrong with that, huh? One thing about Capture NX is it does retain the picture control that was used in the camera. So the person who shot this image, I don't think they ever set their picture controls because it's set on standard unless they like standard. But I'm pretty sure, if I can remember correctly, all the DSLRs that I would help people set up, I'd have to change it from standard to neutral, or if they wanted it vivid, I would caution them towards doing so if they're taking pictures of faces of people. But anyways, so we can change this to standard. We can change it to vivid, monochrome. Let's just see what happens between landscape and, well, neutral is going to be more flat, but let's just go with landscape. No, that'd be cutting corners. We're going to go to neutral. Alright, so just remember, if you're using Capture NX, you're going to end up actually retaining your picture controls in your raw files, and you may not be aware of that whenever you're doing so. The color temperature, you can use a gray point. We can use a single gray point or a marquee sample. We'll just use a single point, and our neutral will designate that single point. You can just kind of grab this and kind of mess around. Anyways, this is all looking like crap, and I'm not liking it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control Z that bad boy out of there. Alright, so instead what I'm going to do is for our white balance, I'm going to not mess with our white balance unless I can find that quick. Maybe it's in here. No, it's not. It's somewhere in this camera setting. Set color temperature. New white balance. Calculate automatically. And then you can go cool and warm. So let's just go a little bit go warmer. And actually, that's fine. Go warmer. Ooh. Takes it a little bit to. That's fine. Right there. And the tint, I never mess with it in Lightroom. One quick thing about Capture NX is it does run in 32-bit. So our shadow protection, we'll bump that up a little bit because that's basically like active view lighting, and it will basically put some fill light in those dim areas of your image. Now we'll go ahead and set our black and our white points. This is to remove color cast. You hit this double threshold. We already have some whites clipping, so we can just set our white points at those clipping locations. We can move this over, grab a black. There's our black point, and close our double threshold. So now that our double threshold is closed, we can see the effects of that. It just adds a little bit more contrast 2D image. And so also, I'm just going to make it kind of a medium contrast type of situation. Saturation, I'm going to bump just a hair. And then contrast, we want to add contrast just a little bit. Alright, the really neat thing that I want to tell you about Capture NX is not the healing brush, it's not the plus minus brush, although that can be used. You can basically make the whole thing monochrome, black and white, and use the minus brush and minus out the black and white. So you're basically pulling back color. So I could, do a black and white conversion, and then hit our minus brush and get our size of our brush down to a reasonable level and color in that tree, So you could do something like that. I'm not going to though. Alright, back to the image. The real cool thing about Capture NX2 is this right here. It's a color control point. With our color control points, we can warm this up to make it look like it's not so blue. Okay, opposite of Lightroom. Okay, and what else needs to be warmed a little bit? We can warm this rock up and make it have a little bit more punch to it. So I'm just going to grab the rock right there, and we're going to warm it up a little bit. See? Getting some of those reds from that feldspar in the granite. And do the same thing over here. When these do overlap, they do not exacerbate, or they don't, they don't, if they overlapped here, it wouldn't be double. Another thing I could do is over here, over here, make this a wee bit less bright. Going down on the brightness. And I can duplicate that over here, but change the size so that we still get that active de-lighting in the tree. Alright, anything else I can see? Oh, yep. What I would also do is put a color control point right here and make our contrast go up. Notice I forgot to size it. And there we go. We basically have a rough image that we could then take into Photoshop or Lightroom or Aperture or anything like that and do our further corrections on. And now you wouldn't have to worry when you pump your saturation with blues, you wouldn't have to worry about this point right here, and we can always just go back to it, warm it up a little bit more. Actually, I like that a lot. It also has a gradient, and you can have your gradient like this. And, this is kind of your universal, like, show your overlay. And there's I think it's like shift, and you hold shift down, and you go to adjust, and you can do like a brightness. Everything that you can do as a new step can be also done right here in light, color, focus, and correct. One other thing before I go is you can sharpen this image by going to as a new step, going to our focus and not applying a Gaussian blur but a high pass. Okay, drag this over to the right so you see the image. Okay, just kind of barely there, and then you want your opacity to be at a certain level. Why is this not working? It's a high pass. Okay. And then our opacity, yes. So we want it to have just not a huge effect on the image. And then your blending, you want to overlay. So if we uncheck it and then recheck it, we can see that we're gaining some sharpness. So that's basically your sharpness.